This is Kim Snyder with the API guys. I'm thrilled that you are here this evening or this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world and when you're listening to this. I am thrilled. I am so excited about this webinar. Scott and I have been talking about it since before ICON, and we finally got it on the calendar and got it done. And so I'm not going to steal Scott's thunder, but I will tell you, Scott DeGrossier is one of the founders of Wicked Reports, and the reason that we're doing this webinar is they say that Wicked Reports is about taking the guesswork out of marketing, but really, to me, it's bigger than that. As far as I know, Scott is the smartest guy I know, and I know a lot of really smart people when it comes to building a data-driven business. And that's something that is of supreme interest to me right now. It's something that I'm working on really hard in my own business. So this is a little bit of scratching my own itch. I can't, get Scott as a full-time consultant, but I can get him on here to give a webinar to all of us and try to learn from him just in the same way that you will be doing. So I think you're going to be really come away tonight with a lot of great material. So without further ado, Scott, take it away.
Thanks, Kim. Very nice introduction and smooth pronunciation. I'd say you were skilled in French, but I just told you how to pronounce it.
That's right. I cheated.
Kim's right. We started this to take the guesswork out of marketing because, I had a couple of ventures that were only moderately successful or not successful, and I could really tap into the kind of the low-grade anxiety I felt when I would get a new, eloquently written email about the new strategy I had to do for marketing, or the new templates I had to buy, or this or that, and I had to tweet 20 minutes a day. And I was constantly frustrated because I had no idea how it would track, and that's how my mind works. I've been data-driven, you'll see in one of my intro slides, since I was like 10 years old. So I really didn't like that I was just running around willy-nilly and had no idea if things worked. And so it failed once or twice because I was trying to do everything under the sun, and I wasn't doing the right things, or I wasn't focusing on the right things. And so this was built kind of with that in mind. It sort of built organically over time when I was running some pay-per-click for a customer you're going to see here. And because I was frustrated not knowing, we run a Facebook promo, there seems to be interest, but did it turn into sales? And then when you email them 2 months later, did they end up buying? Well, how did we actually get them on the list to begin with so we can go do more of that? So this was built specifically to answer some of those questions, and it's grown into be a little bit more. And so that's what I'm going to show you today. So this is the quick agenda here. I want to kind of, give you the lowdown of how we're going to proceed here. So I'm going to get into one slide of why I think I can help you today. And then I'm going to explain why tracking is so important, and then show you a couple reports that we were able to generate through the combination of our tracking and data warehouse solution, so that you can see how the value, what you get for tracking, it all the way end-to-end through lifetime customer value. And then we're going to explain tracking URLs with a fun, unique example, because people understand tracking a lot of times with me, and I'll talk to them, and they'll say they get it, and they understand it somewhat, but then when I see them try to implement it, they didn't actually grasp it fully, and a lot of that is probably on me. I get excited and talk fast, and people tune into the energy but then miss the details, and tracking is in the details. So I'm going to try a unique example to help drive home how to set up these URLs correctly, because the intelligence behind the values you put in your tracking means everything for how they're going to help you guide your decisions when you see the data. Then I'm going to show you some how the focus can relate to tracking, right and wrong, and then real-world examples. Then we'll create a tracking URL with a builder that I'm going to give you for anyone that stays on the call, and that I'm going to send out a link. You'll get a free link builder that will help you, along with a free tool to help you make more money with Facebook. And then we're going to show you how Wicked Reports ties all this together, so you don't need a programmer. You just need a tracking snippet, and you can do all this. So that is the agenda. So here's me. in my family. I created my first database with a Commodore 64 for my mother's Christmas cards. And then I was obsessed with horse racing in Maine. I was constantly looking at the programs and trying to score the programs with systems to try to predict which horse was going to win. And my parents thought they had like a 12-year-old degenerate gambler on their hands. But I really was just interested in the prediction and applying data to systems. So I've been wired like this my whole life, and now I'm here in a position to use that for the greater good rather than as a gambler, which is nice for everyone. And so I've done a lot of global database projects, as you can see here. And I'm in Infusionsoft. I love Infusionsoft. I've been using it since either 2008 or 2009. And I'm very into meditation as well. So, I'm very into data and systems to win. And I hate to waste time and be bored. So I'm going to do my best not to do that now. And our moderator, feel free to cut in if you feel like I'm not meeting that objective, because I would just be crushed if I was wasting anyone's time or being boring. So I'll do my best not to do that.
You know I will.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, Captain Obvious. This is a slide from a webinar I did a long time ago for Infusionsoft when I first had this idea. And it was, I hear this when I was a consultant all the time. The consultants probably hear this on the call. Oh yeah, I have a great marketing budget, but it has to work first. And that was just always irritated me. And of course you would spend unlimited money if you knew you could work. And so I just wanted to say, here's a solution that we're going to actually show you what works both immediately when people first click on an ad, and then or on any link of your posting, and then over time. So Debbie Downer marketing points. I'm going to stress you out before I hopefully save the day with analytics here. I've seen a lot of Facebook for Business emails going, and this solution is not just for Facebook, but it's one of the more popular areas that our solution gets provided, and we're tracking pays off so handsomely. They said, hey, great ROI on Facebook. And I said, really? Wow, what's that? And it was the cost per clicks are really cheap on Facebook. And I'm going to tell you right now that cost per click, I'm going to show you data that, of course, everyone likes cheap traffic, but that should not be what you're worried about. Because you know why some of the clicks are a lot more expensive? Because they get a lot better customers. And if we can show you how you can track that, then you'll know, hey, I'm okay with spending a little more on this click because I'm getting better people into my funnel. I feel like you need to track lifetime purchase history, and I'm going to show you why. Because if you ever had a contest or some promo that had a big spike in traffic and leads and didn't get a lot of sales, or you felt like you were getting a lot of things done, and you didn't see it on the bottom line, I'm going to show you some examples of that real life. Offers or audiences, you might find you might have a great offer, but you showed it to the wrong audience, and then you got discouraged because it didn't hit well. I had that happen. Had a meditation site, and I had some really cool meditations in my opinion, but I was showing them the people that were coming in for all sorts of reasons, and I wasn't giving them the focused offer based on who they were, because I didn't know how to do it. And now this will really, and when you have the numbers that combine offer and audience, you see that, hey, you know what, if you have a good offer, you can test it over the right audiences and see the value. Or if you have a bad offer and it's failing everywhere, I mean, you probably know that anyway. But you can combine offers and audiences a lot more intelligently, and then you make a lot more money that way. And then comments, retweets, and likes, that drives EGO but not ROI. That's been my experience with the majority of the clients that I've worked with. It doesn't necessarily be that way. You see in the news someone made a fortune off, tweeting out things. That's the reason why it's news. I think it's like a 1 in a million that probably does that, in my opinion. Anyone I've tracked data for, they haven't made a lot of money with some of these things, and I'm going to show you how to find out if you're making money in your market or not. Now, enough Debbie Downer. Let's focus on the positive here. I mean, tracking will really help you focus on the things that make you money and remove the focus on things that don't make you money. That's kind of, you're going to be subscribed to Marketing Gurus. Some of them are fantastic. We work with a decent amount of them, and we see their numbers, and some of them are amazing, and some of them aren't. And but when you get that offer from someone and you want to test out a different technique, this is a way to find out, did it work or not? So I'm going to wet your whistle with two slides from a client here. In this case, this is why you need to track lifetime customer value by the click. This is one where we're doing the time to convert a lead to customer. And don't worry if this seems a little, maybe this is right on with where you're already at in your analytics mindset. Maybe it's already like, what are you talking about? Don't worry, I'm doing 2 slides of more advanced reporting, then I'm going to slow down and show you just how to do tracking in general. This is a days to convert report showing a source coming in of all leads that came in for this person from Facebook. And this is showing how long from the time they joined their list did it take until they became a customer, and how much did they spend when they did. And the eye-opening things, one, are that a lot of Facebook leads don't buy, although he still made plenty of money here, 56,000, and he spent maybe $7,000 on that, so he's still quite happy. But the other thing is, look over here, almost 44% of the people, it took more than 2 weeks until they made a purchase. So imagine if you did a big contest, or like I'm doing this webinar today, I'm going to be all excited, hoping tomorrow I had a bunch of sales. We may have none, we may have one, who knows. I still want to give you as much value as I can. But then maybe a couple weeks later, maybe a bunch of people ended up buying from a webinar, and hey, I wouldn't have necessarily known where I found them if I didn't track how I first got them and then tied it back to a purchase later on. And this is where it's not commonly talked about, but sometimes leads can take quite some time to nurture. In this case, look at that, 16 grand that he made more than a month after they first joined his list. And so he might have wrote off Facebook a lot earlier if he did not know that, you know, it just takes time sometime with these leads. You got to catch them at the right time with the right offer. You got to be speaking to that audience. Here's another one, which is immediate sales versus lifetime sales. This is my lobster client, Get Maine Lobster. Those of you that were on an Infusionsoft Mastermind a year ago, this is when we first hatched Wicked Reports as a concept, was when I did that webinar. It's come a long way, but let me show you here what we're looking at. So this is a combination of his offers and audiences. BOGO is buy one, get one. Lob rolls stands for lobster roll. Here's his audience, which is a lookalike of his top customers, which I'm going to show you how to do with your Infusionsoft here in an email if you opt in. And then as we go across, here's what he spent in Facebook, and here's his initial visitors. So if you were looking at cost per click, you'd be excited. You'd say, hey, look, I'm getting these in, you know, whatever the math is on that. I should know that. Probably 20, looks like about 25 cents a click. I'm getting a lot of leads. In this case, look at 267 leads, 426 leads, and this was taken, I think I cut this data today for him to put it in here. But then if you look at sales, you'll see here, you know, not very hot initial sales. This would match if you did initial normal conversion tracking where you put the thank you page and said, hey, I just showed someone an offer. If they bought, let me know because they hit the thank you page. And as you'll see, in particular, this is very glaring in Facebook, but also in most social networks. If you're on a social network, you're not necessarily looking to buy, but something might catch your eye and you say, hey, that's interesting, maybe I'll buy later. So that's what happens in every market we're seeing pretty much, that not a lot of sales here initially on the initial sales. If you go to indirect sales, these are people that bought after the fact, sometime in the future, but they originally came to him from this particular offer and audience. This being a buy one, get one lobster roll, this being 20 tails for free shipping. As you can see, both of these are the same audience name. That's quite a great audience for him, by the way, obviously. Then here's his competitors. Here's his top customers from revenue, and here's a look-alike of people from his booming Christmas he had. Now, as you look over here, you'll see the indirect sales are, you know, in this case, no sales initially and then 16 sales. Imagine you ran a promo, you spent $300, you had all this traffic, and then you had $0. You'd be like, as he was, geez, Scott, this isn't looking too hot. And fortunately, I'm originally from Maine, and I was like, well, you know, you don't want lobster just because you clicked on an offer necessarily. Then you got to think about whether you want the lobster. Do you want it that day? How many do you got to get? Do you feel like cleaning? There's things that go through your mind with lobster, just as with whatever you're offering in your business. There's things where people might not be willing to buy that immediate moment because you happen to catch their eye with an intriguing offer. And so in this case, it was pretty, this is about good examples I could show, $0 on 300 when he initially started. But then over time, his new lead lifetime value, whenever you see LTV, that's lifetime value, $3,935. So he actually made 10 to 1 on an offer that made no sales. Now that offer didn't convert anyone, so maybe there's a problem with that offer, but it did get this many solid leads that spent $4,000 with them over a time frame, so of course you're going to keep running that offer. It's a no-brainer. It's 10 to 1, and you'll see a lot of these. This is what happened with them. Not all of them, but I mean, I'm showing you. We'll get into some other examples where there was a ton of leads and there's absolutely nothing going on over here, and then you know, hey, stop doing that. This was a really bad idea. So I hope I got your attention with why you should want to track click all the way through to lifetime value. Now I'm going to shift gears and show you, slow down a little and explain UTMs from my point of view, and also then we're going to walk through a very fun example for me, hopefully for you, of exactly how you would apply these, and then we'll get into some nitty-gritty, how to make some money for yourselves on the call here. UTMs, which you'll see, Irkin tracking module, something that Google bought and started using. You may already be familiar with them. And basically you can take any link and add what's called UTMs onto the end of it. In this case, I'm doing one specifically for this webinar. And when you click on it, Google Analytics is going to give you data based on these specific variables. And then any other tracking system should be able to do that also. And I originally did this as a way to just see in Google Analytics what the hell was going on. Because the tracking that I was doing, as someone who's been tracking minded since 10 years old, I still wasn't getting reliable data from Facebook and Google tracking. It was driving me nuts. And so I started trying to use UTMs, and it got me to a point where I could at least find out if my traffic was people were interested in it. And then I hit up on the Wicked Reports model of lifetime history. So that's how these work. You just UTMs or tracking means you're putting something on the end of a link so that you can have some idea of where these people came from that clicked. So here's why you should track each link. So I'm going to break down this one link for each individual parameter, and then it should make more sense to you. So here's my link that I'll could send to you guys, and this is the source is Kim Snyder, and so this is when I'm looking at this big pile of data, and I'm looking at every click for a given day from my ads, from my Facebooks, from tweets, from emails, from whatnot. I can say, hey, who has come from this particular Kim Snyder? Pretty clear usually on the source. That one's probably the easiest one. The medium is how did they receive the link. In this case, you're on a webinar, you're going to get the medium of webinar. Obviously, if you're in your Infusionsoft and you're coding up your links inside of your emails, you'd put email. You're tweeting, tweet, so on and so forth. The campaign is very subjective to the person doing it. It's what is this overall marketing campaign you're doing? For me, summer 2015 webinars seem like a clear enough campaign for me to remember what I'm doing. If you're doing a paid advertisement, you'd want to put the campaign name to match the campaign name for the ad platform you're using. If you're doing an email, you'd want to put your Infusionsoft campaign. So if you're looking at a pile of campaign data and you want to, what's going to jump out at you is, hey, which Infusionsoft campaign brought me clicks and customers? So that's why you'd want to name your campaign in that manner. Content. Which specific offer or contact is this link related to? In this case, it's the webinar and this date. Email, it would be the specific email. Ad, it would be the specific ad. Tweet, whatever you were tweeting about, if you still do that. Now, the term is where this really opened up a lot of money for Facebook, for our clients. And this is because term is something that is auto-populated if you do a search on Google. And Google made the decision about 2 years ago to hide how people were searching organically as a way to drive people to pay more in AdWords, which obviously works quite well for them. So if you've ever been in Google Analytics and you see all that not set or undisclosed, or they have sometimes just empty parentheses, they're not showing it to you unless you pay. And then if you pay with AdWords, they'll show you what people searched on. But you can pervert this link to be what audience clicked on the link. So in this case, for our example, Kim Snyder webinar attendees, that's who you are to me. Obviously you are many other things. I don't mean to objectify you in any way other than to teach you data here. So Kim Snyder webinar attendees would be what this audience is. If you're in Facebook and you know that they like Infusionsoft, for the Infusionsoft consultants on here that are marketing to Infusionsoft, you put likes Infusionsoft. If you're an Infusionsoft certified partner and you're trying to get people to reset, to convert or buy Infusionsoft, and you're targeting, let's say, lead pages customers, it could be likes lead pages. When it's an email and you're doing different tag segments, you'd put whatever that email segment is. If it's your Twitter followers, you'd put Twitter followers, because when you combine the content and the term together as an audience and offer combination, you get way more value, and then you'll find out, is your offer really good? Because how did the people that should have liked it, did they respond to it or not? Because if they didn't, then you can drop whatever else you're doing and focus on that, because the people that should like your offer, if they don't respond to it, then that's more important than all the other things you could get distracted with. And then if they do, then great, how do you get more people in that funnel? So it kind of helps, gives you focus when you can combine the two. So Kim, or anyone, any questions so far? Because we're going to switch gears a little and do an example here of that's kind of esoteric in a way, but to get people out of the analytical mindset a little and get into how to do these themselves.
Yep, no questions so far, Scott. However, I would just encourage everyone to remember that that's what your question box is for. So as you're going along, if anyone has any questions, put them in there and I will ask them of Scott.
Great.
Plus, hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, right?
Yeah, I think so. We're doing pretty good here.
All right.
Okay, so offer audience and lifetime customer value. That's the number one thing why people came to us. We were a skunkworks operation, and people just word of mouth heard of us and come to us, and this is the first time we've ever said, hey, we're open for business, because that kept us that busy, and it was really because of this offer audience and lifetime customer value combo. So we're going to do an example here over a few slides, and then we're going to pop to a real life example, and then we're going to build some links. So here's the situation, obviously not business related. I'm hungry and I want Asian food. I'm going to invite people to Thai or sushi, and I want to see if the woman in my life would like to come eat it with me. So here's my audiences: my grandmother nanny, my mother, my wife, and my daughter. I'm going to offer them both Thai and sushi to each person, and then the result is over here. My grandmother doesn't eat spicy food. She's 96. I'd probably get locked off as feeding her super spicy food. My mother would go for sushi but not Thai, and you can see here so on and so forth. My daughter's picky, but she might go to sushi if I bribed her with mochi afterwards. My wife is good for sushi all the time, maybe Thai. She's very picky also. Depends on where specifically I offer to get it from. So what does this have to do with tracking other than me being able to see all my ladies here? If I was to track how this was going to work, I would use the audience of UTM term, and I would put in specific words that make sense to me so that I would be able to know whether this audience was good or not. So just like I said, how likes Infusionsoft or likes lead pages or Twitter followers. In this case, I'm going to use the term is nanny, mom, wife, and daughter. For the offer, I'm going to use the content tag. In this case, Thai or sushi. Pretty straightforward. And then I'm going to translate this. I'm going to take a little leap of faith where if someone said no, then they did not opt in. Someone said yes, they opted in and bought. And if someone said maybe, they opted in but didn't buy. So, the first night I offer everyone Thai and sushi because I'm really adamant about having dinner with my ladies. And here's some super generic. If I was looking at it just from audience, I'd see there's my audiences, and traffic meaning they clicked on my offer. Leads meaning they said either maybe or yes, and then if they said yes, it was a sale. And then if I looked at it from an offer perspective, I'd say, hey, 4 traffic, 1 lead. I'd say, hey, boy, sushi's doing great. Wife and mom seem to be good. If I combine them together with offer and audience, here's kind of the same grid. And let's say each offer costs me $1 for the sake of argument here. Now, if I did this for a year, let's say I did, I have 150 offers of each. I'm very adamant. I really social. I fear eating alone. I'm offering out to everyone here. And let's say I offered, Thai to my grandmother 150 times. She clicked 150 times offered to sushi. She clicks twice. So looking at this data, you're saying, boy, sushi seems to be the winner. It's 50 cents per click. And Thai is $1 a click. So maybe I should focus on sushi. That's commonly what people do. They focus on cost per click. Bad idea, very bad. Then I look at leads. I say, okay, how many people are actually opting in or showing interest in what I'm offering? Now I look and I say, hey, man, not only are the clicks half the price, but the leads generated are destroying the leads in Thai. This is fantastic. I'm going to retire soon. This is hit the holy grail. So then I get some tracking involved, and I see, man, well, you know, my sushi offer was more expensive. It was like $50 to go for sushi, and you know, my offer was I pay the first time and they pay the second. And the Thai offer is much cheaper, and my family, you know, we're from Maine, you know, everyone's on a budget, but we were real into the coupons and all that, so it was very intense on, hey, what's the price of food, or you weren't going to go. So, you know, a lot of leads and interest, but no one's biting on the sushi offer. But the Thai offer, even though it's getting a lot less leads and it's $1 a click, I'm getting a lot more sales. My sales rate is much higher. So now this would lead me to say, hey, you know what, I need to be offering Thai all over the place. Now we're going to bring in revenue, which is important too, because you could have had, you know, the Thai, that come to find out the sushi offer is $50 a pop, and the Thai offer is $7.50. It was a cheap little lunch deal. So you start to see that sushi to my daughter and sushi to my mom are the ones making some money, unfortunately, and I didn't realize this until I did this example fully out. I'm a horrible grandson making my grandmother look like a bad audience. But oh well, it's too late now. So now it looks good, you know, and now you're saying, hey, okay, this and some tracking solutions, if you implement it right, sometimes will get you this far. But what you really want to know is, okay, after they bought, I mean, did they rebuy? Now I've got them on my email list. Now I can upsell them, but maybe before the offer, I can offer them a half-price bottle of wine if they come in. I can do all kinds of different upsells. So what you really want to track is lifetime value. And in this case, for my example, the Thai food isn't that good, so almost no one is going to come back. They came there, and I got them in the door, and they said, hey, this was great, but I'm never coming back here again. So my revenue matched my long-term value. So you know what? Even though I had 15 sales of Thai, I never got them to come back. Whereas with sushi, I got 6 sales for $300. That's already good. And then over time, my daughter has spent $900 with me eating sushi on my $150. So by looking all the way through the life cycle of the customer and tracking it back to the offer and audience, you can see that it's much more illuminating as to where to spend the money. I'd want to spend it with the sushi offers and probably just target my daughter and my mom for my dinner offers. And unfortunately, I'd have to just Skype with my grandmother rather than use dinner offers with her as a business. So possibly that was clear for you. Maybe you're like, what's he talking about? Thai sushi for tracking. I'm going to go to 4 real-life examples with our lobster client that'll help make it clear for you. Get Maine Lobster. They're testing offers all over the place. Here are the 4 I'm going to show you today because they kind of cover 4 different ways people might market food or general concepts they might use. A Mother's Day contest for free lobsters. A lot of people like to you know, do contests to generate leads, and I'm going to show you his live data based on contests. We have a 20 tails with free shipping. This is a specific offer highlighting free shipping, which he feels is his #1 source of customer friction. We're going to do a buy one, get one offer because people like to get stuff free, but we want to make them spend money in order to get something free. And then I'm going to show you one that we did, pick the winner in the round of the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight to win a free lobster. And I'm going to show you this one specifically about a social technique that I've heard. We're going to spread these offers across multiple audiences. People who visit his site, people who get to the cart but don't go to the thank you page, people who like other high-end food companies, like Omaha Steaks is a popular order expensive steaks through the mail. Legal Seafoods you may not have heard of unless you're in New England, but it's a higher-end seafood restaurant that's extremely popular. Then we're going to look at Facebook audiences based on his most expensive and recent customers, biggest spending customers, excuse me. And then people who like to fight, which there's a sigh there. It's kind of foreboding of, this was one of his ideas. He's very creative, very successful. This one wasn't so much. So here's what happens when you track things all the way through. His buy one, get one lobster roll. His Facebook friends did amazing. Didn't cost him anything. 2,600 people clicked on the buy one, get one lobster roll. 20 opted in, 31 sales. These are people that bought it immediately. 31 sales, and they spent $5,800 with him. And then with 38 more sales down the road, which were either new leads that spent money with him over time, or re-engaged leads that ended up buying because they saw this Facebook post. So that was, he has a very active Facebook group now over time filled with his customers, and this was a fantastic offer for him. Then as we scroll down through, like I mentioned a little earlier, we were spending an even about $100 a day on all these different audiences here with the lobster rolls. You'll see it was a big hit in terms of clicks and leads. And like I showed earlier, they were not very successful for initial sales. You know, you're running an ad and then you're refreshing your Infusionsoft, hoping you see a lot of sales, and you're not sometimes, particularly with a big Facebook promo. It's kind of a bummer. But then they came in over the course of email nurture, which this is sort of showing the benefit of that, email nurture and other ways he was reaching out. And so immediate conversion value, if you see, hey, look at all these audiences that all, he lost 50%. But really, look at this one, $4,100 in sales from new leads off lookalikes of his top customers. That's pretty sweet. Some of these other ones did pretty well also. As you can see, 4-to-1, 4-to-1, 2-to-1. This one didn't do so hot. This was a targeting based on anyone that came to his website at all. So as you can see, that's not even granular enough targeting or audience targeting. We said, hey, let's just run it. Anytime someone comes to your site, we're going to show them this offer. And it didn't do so hot. But then when we get precise, show me people that browse but didn't make it to your shopping cart, you look over here, he pulled in leads that did $2,700. They were in the cart, they didn't pull the trigger. He showed them, and then he targeted them specifically on Facebook, and it led to 23 additional sales over time. And then some of these other ones here. So this is a case where this is a fantastic offer. Sometimes it gets boring because we kind of run the same offer. Maybe we mix up the words and the imagery a little, but this one's kind of set and forget. It just makes him money. Lobster boxing. Now, I really wanted to include this one, and this is a case also for marketing consultants where someone has an idea, you don't necessarily love it. You don't have to say no. You can say, well, let's run it for a short amount of time and let's see how it performs. And then if it's working, great, and if not, we can stop it. And in this case, the promo was, hey, try to pick the winner of the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight and pick what round. And as you can see, it did absolutely awful. And I wanted to include it just because I didn't want to just show all rosy data from tracking, because that's not going to be what happens. You're going to see things maybe you need to stop doing immediately. But also, I used to waste a lot of time personally following a lot of social media plans that people would sell or offer. And I'm not saying that there aren't some good ones out there. This was back in 2011 I was worrying about these particular plans. But I would spend a lot of time building up, big Twitter followers of like 15,000 followers and all this other crap that really didn't make any money. And now with tracking, you're able to find out. And I know a popular idea is track blog based on something in the news, and I don't agree with it, and here's one way. It doesn't mean you're not going to find a success story behind it. Doesn't mean it might not work for you. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying you have to know. You should only be doing a strategy if you can track that it's working. Otherwise, why are you doing it? And in this case, lobster boxing is not something we'll try again. This is just awful. Awful. I mean, everywhere, every stat, obviously. You don't need to be a statistician to see this is brutal. Anyway, here's a good one, and then I'll show another bad one here. So 20 lobster tails with free shipping. So lobsters are expensive to ship. People love not paying for shipping. We think it's pretty much kind of a no-brainer, but we put it in there, and I wanted to show you here. Here's some costs, and you see look at the sales column. It's awful. I had 5 sales total, and that's on a $2,500 spend. You had 5 sales. You know what? You get fired normally. You would be like, hey, I don't know what to tell you. You spent $2,500 and here's $1,300 back. They say, hey, that's great. I'm going to go in another direction. Take it easy. But what you can see here is actually what you generated in leads, which still isn't amazing, but you're still looking at 65, 7, 8, 10 grand on your 2,500. So you made 4 to 1 from the leads that came in here. Now remember way back when I showed you the time to conversion on these Facebook leads, 44% are going to take more than 2 weeks. So these sales come in, and as they come in, we update the new lead lifetime value. What are the re-engaged leads? These are the ones that were already on his list.
Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so can I stop you and ask you a question about the new lead lifetime LTV? So explain to me what, if you would, what does that mean? Like what I'm not sure I'm understanding the new lead component and the re-engaged lead component.
Sure.
I understand lifetime value, but if you could just explain that, that would help me. I don't know about everyone else.
If it would help you, I'm sure it would help others as well. So if I click on an ad and it has 20 tail, in this case, the tracking behind it was a free shipping, and you were part of this audience according to Facebook. When you clicked on that ad and you opted in, we check and say, hey, is this email already in this Infusionsoft application? If it's brand new to Infusionsoft, then it's a new lead. And so then for the lifetime of when you make purchases, we will know that you first showed up because of 20 tails free shipping in this audience, and we will update this number as you hopefully buy things over time. Like example for you, like I bought your foundations course. I opted in, I don't know, back February. Something caught my eye on your website, and I opted in for something. And then I ended up spending whatever it was on the foundation course 2 weeks ago that you held. And so then in that case, however I had opted in, it would show up here, and then I think it was $500, whatever you charge for that course, would show up here in new lead lifetime value for that particular way you found me and got me on your list. For re-engaged lead, now let's, okay. So for re-engage lead, let's say I opted into this webinar for you, and then I hired you to do one of the integrations there, the whatever it is, the couple thousand to integrate between Infusionsoft and Google Sheets or whatever. And then so I opted into this webinar, and then I spent more money at that time. That would be, I'm a re-engaged lead. So then you would see in the sale that I was re-engaged and I spent money there, and I spent money as a new lead. So we track both back to the original way. I was first on the list, and then anytime I re-opt in and spend money, we'd track it that way as well.
Okay, so Sue has a question relevant to this as well. She says, how long do you consider to include in long-term or lifetime value? 6 months, 12 months, 3 years? You have to take a snapshot sometime and to make the client happy that you're making them money.
We update this every night, every morning at 5 a.m., but we keep it for life. So as long as, however you first found someone is what's always going to get the credit for new lead. And for re-engage lead, whatever the most recent time you've opted in before you made your latest purchase is what we give the credit to.
Okay, great.
Here's another one for contests. I used to love the idea of contests. I remember in meditation I'd always pool with a couple of, big-time best-selling authors and whatnot. We're going to do a contest. All these people are going to opt in. We're going to be rich. And all those people did opt in, and it was just dismal. And it could have certainly been my approach. I'm sure there's contests out there that have done well. I personally have not seen almost any data-driven analyzed contests that have worked. I still am open to the fact that they could work, and I love the idea of it because it's an easy thing to understand. I'm going to do a contest. People don't win, but they opted in because they wanted that, so then I'll offer it at a discount. But this is the same guy that I've been showing all this fantastic results on some of these people on, and here is his Mother's Day contest from this past Mother's Day. Now we're talking, it's been 30 days out, so usually within 30 days we would have got, as you saw, over 50% of his sales would have happened by now, converting here. And as you can see, it doesn't take a math whiz to see a lot of zeros over here. And so we had opt-in, you know, we had a decent amount of traffic. Opt-ins weren't quite as great as usual, which should have been an indicator, but the sales have been just terrible. So, and I've seen this a number of times, that's why I want to put it out there. So this doesn't mean if you get some big contest idea, you shouldn't run it, but I would put tracking on it, because then I know they take a lot of effort sometimes to put together contests, you know, to recruit JV partners and publicize them, and time you could be spent doing something else because we'll have a limited amount of time. So I try to dissuade him from contests as much as I can, thanks to this. So I use data rather than just my opinion. So here's some offer lessons from his data. Stop with the this is what I told him. This is what I tell him, but this is, again, everyone's situation should be based on their data, because every market has its own quirks. Maybe there's a market that loves to do contests off Twitter and spends a bunch of money. I'd be pretty shocked, but anything could be possible. Offer lessons for him based on data are all stop with the contest, what's in the news doesn't sell lobster, customers like buy one, get one, and they like free shipping. So we run these all the time. And you know, sometimes it gets kind of dull maybe, but dull is paying the bills, so, and then some, as you've seen, so we keep doing them. For audiences, when they reach pages indicating purchase interest, they should be targeted. As you might recall, I showed, hey, the website, just a generic, hey, did they go to my website, really wasn't good enough for his market. Some of them it will be. If you're, you know, if you only have 10 pages on your site, then yeah, you can just target based on the website. He has, you know, a few hundred pages. So the pages when people get down the buying cycle and then get retargeted are what are working for him. The lookalikes for Facebook are killing it. If you don't opt in to get the link builder I'm going to offer or the instructions, then just take this away. Go export your customers, import them into Facebook, and tell Facebook to find people lookalike them. Just Google how to create a lookalike audience, because they work extremely well. And targeting someone because they like a similar type of product is not working in their market. Now, this is one that was really surprising. We thought the fact we were targeting Blue Apron was going to be, and Omaha Steaks, we were so excited to do that promo because people are already getting steak in the mail. They're going to love getting lobster in the mail, and it was brutal. It did horrible. Same with Blue Apron, which is a way that you ship food to yourself and then you prepare it at home. Where, like, these people already like to prepare food at home and they get it in the mail. This is a slam dunk, and it didn't work. And it was surprising. It was the same offers that I was showing you that worked so great on some of these other audiences. It just didn't work for them. And that's another case where, hey, it's easy to think, hey, I'm just going to get people that like this type of thing, and of course they're going to like what I have, and then I'm going to make money. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be marketing this solution I'm showing you to people that like Infusionsoft, because of course I'm going to do it because it's easy for me to understand, and hopefully if they like Infusionsoft, they're going to like Wicked Reports. But I might very well find that it's more going to be people that like trackings that are going to be the ones that respond to my particular product. And I'm not going to know that unless I track it. And here are some, so the combination of offer and audience. So free shipping offers to abandoned cart audiences. He just printed money. I mean, the only reason why he doesn't spend more is because there's only so many people that in a given day that happen to make it to his cart, don't check out, and then happen to go to Facebook and click on his ad. Because when they do, it's just free money. It's just such a shame we can't get more people to do this. The BOGO offers and the free shipping to lookalikes, as you saw, 5-to-1. That's for him. It doesn't mean for everyone, but for him, it's doing fantastic. Cheap clicks have meant nothing. Cheap opt-ins, it's negotiable. It depends. But piling in a funnel and just saying, hey, fill the funnel and then we're going to make some money has definitely not been a thing that works. It's really about really focusing on the offer audience combination more than I need to get more clicks, I need to get more leads. No, you need to get more tight with your offer and audience, and then you can go buy more traffic. last slide, I think. Yes. And then we'll get into building a link. Someone can send me a link and we'll build one. I'll build one on the fly, and then someone can send me one, and I'll show you how that works for their solution here. So if anyone wants to go to, I have a free, I'm going to pop out and go to my link builder here, but we've got a free Wicked link builder, which I'm going to show you. And it's going to help you build these UTMs and create your own standard way of building them, so you don't need to remember how to do it or go Google how to build a tracking link each time. So let's go pop into
Scott,
here.
are these links we should be putting in chat, or
Good.
Or are these things? Yeah.
Yes. Let me get the hyperlink here, and I'm going to show you the tracking on here actually. So let me put this into the chat so people can go get this builder. This is a little, as long as you opt in on the first page, there's a little survey so I can give you the best. So there it is with all the tracking, which I normally would have shortened and given to you, but this is a webinar on tracking. So if you go there, I have a short survey that you only need to answer the first question to get your builder. However, if you answer all the questions, then I can give you tracking stuff only related to what you'd care about. So I'd prefer you answer the 5 questions, but if not, you don't need to. So let's go to the builder here now. This is what you're going to get. So here's how to build a Wicked link, tracking link, which if you do not get Wicked reports, it still has value for you because it's going to funnel into Google Analytics, and you can then see your Google Analytics data based on values you've created. So that's why I wanted to offer this, because not everyone's going to be ready for Wicked reports, and that's fine. This is still going to give you some value here. So I've already got my stuff queued up based on these, the example I had shown you. Why don't, Kim, if you want to give me an example, I'll go ahead and wing one here and show you how it works.
An example from
Let's just say you want to promote your website on. I'll promote your website for you on Twitter and Facebook. What would be a website for me to post out there?
theapiguys.com/custom development, let's say.
Okay, so I type in my link. Now I want to put my source. Now this is for Kim, so I look at my little drop-down values here. I'm going to post this on, let's say I'm going to put it on Twitter right now. So I'm going to put it on Twitter. And then now I say the medium, which is how are people going to see this link? I'm going to see it via a tweet. My campaign, now how this builder works is you can put in, if you're doing an email link, your Infusionsoft campaign name, or you're going to have to edit these things a lot to make them custom to yourself. So when I see that I have no campaign, I pop over here to campaign, and let's say Scott's webinar. And then I'm going, and then you got to click on the right link. There's my Scott's webinar. The content, let's say how to track a tweet. And that's going to be what I tweet about. And then the term or audience is the keyword or audience targeted. Let me scroll up here. I'm going to do Twitter followers, which I have some. I don't really use Twitter except for to do things like this. So I've got my tweet built. I've got my link. Not my tweet built. I have my tracking link built. And as you may know in Twitter, it's 140 characters, so that's going to be kind of long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that link, and I'm going to go over to Google Shortener, which you can of course do. I'm moving my, and I'm going to paste my long URL in here and shorten it up. Now you can do any shortened way you want, bit.ly, all the other ones out there, it doesn't matter. Now I come over to Twitter, and I want to send a tweet here. Oh, there it is, tweet. I don't do it very often. I want to say, I'm tracking this tweet for Kim. And then anyone that clicks on it once my internet cooperates here. Usually that's right away. Now we've gone to Kim's site and we have all this tracking in there, and I typed custom development wrong, it looks
Yeah,
like. Or is it
that's
a
all right.
dash?
Probably needed a dash. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I told you wrong.
It still will preserve the whole session, so
All
if I
right.
pop around, it does not matter. It's okay. Once you show up, you have it. So now anything that I do, it's going to know that I came from Twitter, from a tweet about how to track a tweet, and I'm a Twitter follower. And so this one click is not maybe going to have the most meaning, but when you diligently do this across all your platforms, you're going to have some very meaningful data. You may see, hey, Twitter only had 10 clicks, my Facebook fan page had 85, and my email had 300 or whatnot, but it's going to give you focus on where to worry about. Like my Twitter, I doubt there'll be many. I have a lot, and I have a lot of followers in there. I just don't really. Right.
So let me stop and ask a couple questions here, both from the group and I'll ask my own as well. So first of all, John's question, John, I think probably you've already gotten your answer. He wants to know, are the UTM values, are those the only one, or are they just examples? And those are dictated by Google, right? Those are the only values.
These are the only UTMs that you can see within Google, and these are the ones that we use. A few extra ones in our ads you can see down here in the template: device, ad position, ad ID. But basically, yes, those are the ones you can get at. There's one or two others, but they're not super valuable. You can add your own custom things, but they're not going to show up in a very helpful manner. If you mean from the drop-downs, no, you can add in, as I showed on the thing, you want to add in your own values for sure. You want to come in and add in your own Infusionsoft campaign names, your own emails, and then go in and do your Infusionsoft emails immediately to see what's converting and what's not.
Right. Okay, but the UTM underscore source or medium, those are dictated.
Yes.
Those are, yeah. Okay, and then Mimi wants to know, can you also capture data coming from Google Ads?
Very much so. Google released a new thing that goes into effect fully mandatory tomorrow called tracking templates, and we actually include the tracking template here. And this is what you put into every at the campaign level. You put in this tracking template, and then all your ads automatically get appended. You see this little LP URL. What this is a placeholder for Google. Wherever your ad's going is going to go here, and then all this stuff will append onto the end of it, and then that will give you all kinds of other info. But for sure, you definitely would want to do this for ads, so tracking templates are the way to do it now.
Right, and so really the messages, and I think this is going to go to the next question I have from Cindy, is, I mean, these tracking links should be used everywhere, right, Scott? For everything.
Yes, they should be everywhere because otherwise, because then it'll slowly, not even slowly, maybe fast give you focus, particularly in an email campaign where I know you can see your clicks in Infusionsoft and possibly with some, Infusionsoft Ninja skills get more out of that. But this gives you a standard way to track everything the same way rather than, well, I track AdWords, I go into AdWords and I look at this, and then I don't know if after they opted in, except for when I do a tag on an AdWords specific landing page and change it every time.
Okay. So Cindy wants to know, if you already have a list, where do you get started using this strategy?
So one really good thing to do on here is to test content, and both on your social networks and your email, and then you can cross-pollinate based on what is getting attention and sales. So I would start with a list. I would go in and, when you're doing your email broadcast, the next one, do it to a page where there's, you've got your maybe 2 or 3 links in there, maybe one for your blog story and one for your offer. Put these links behind each one, and then see where the activity was. And then when you see, and then if you've also done these links in your like your Facebook fan page or in ads or anything, when you see an offer that hits well in one platform, you immediately move it to the other platforms and do it as well. And when you see a dud somewhere, then you don't repeat it everywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have more to show us? I've got some more questions coming in, but I want you to keep going if you've got more to show us.
Yeah, we could show a little bit of Wicked Reports, or do we want to do some questions?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and show some Wicked Reports, actually, because I think the thing, as I'm watching this, and I know about Wicked Reports, but I think the big question is, okay, in my mind, great, I put all these tracking codes out there, but then where do I get the data? How do I see what's happening?
Okay. So what we've done here, and I'm going to look at the lobster guide for this year, and all our reports, you can pick any date range. We can break them down by where the source was, and this is all UTM driven, and we can see costs from Facebook, visitors from Google Analytics, and then all the rest of this info is coming from Infusionsoft and updated every night. So you have a command panel that kind of tells you, I think that one of these might have been taken right out of the webinar when I was running the numbers earlier to update the slides. So this is going to come in and filter in because his UTMs on his ads had this on them. We were able to then track all the way through the life cycle and show him what ads are working and what aren't from a lifetime value perspective, which is the only one that matters, in my opinion. So we can see AdWords is the same way. We have the ad group in the search term. AdWords not doing nearly as well for him as Facebook, so he does not run them anymore. Here's emails where you can see, and this gives you direction also. So the emails here, you can see, hey, look, this email did double the traffic of the other email. That was an awesome email. What did I do that was so great about it? Maybe I should use it for an ad. And then vice versa on this one, hey, this did half as many clicks, but it did the same amount of money. What was so great about this offer? So the data starts to tell you where to look. And then you see this little blip down here for 6K. Well, not that 6K is anything to frown at, but why is it that these emails only did half as much as their neighbors or less? You can go look at that and say, why was this interesting to click on but didn't convert? Now, I happen to know a cull is a one-armed Maine lobster, so people probably were excited about this cheap price, and then they got there and saw it was one claw they were getting gypped out of, and they decided not to buy. But the point is, it was a great email. We got a couple thousand people to click on his list. So that's this is this one view of things. I did promise in the webinar to show you why you shouldn't send your emails at 8 a.m. And I want to show you that because this is a concept I learned from Craig Jacobson, who's well-known in Infusionsoft circles, which is about what time are people buying your particular product. So what we've done here for him and for any client is we take the Infusionsoft order time and we take where that person lives in the world and convert it to their time zone to show you what day of the week they bought and what time of day they bought once this one comes up here. I'm going to stop it here just to show you real quick. Okay, there it is. And as you can see in his case, there's 8 a.m. is not so great, but it kind of rises, and people buy at 11 a.m. and then it dips down and comes back up at 4 p.m. And this one isn't as dramatic as some people, but here he should send out his emails around meal times. Kind of makes sense if you think about it. You're selling food, that's when you should deliver the emails, when people are buying the food, not when people are first walking through the door and get into their office. I've not seen anyone that has the big spike at 8 a.m. personally. I've seen a lot of 8, 9 p.m.s and 2 in the mornings if you're doing some sort of like life coaching stuff. That's when people are online unhappy with their life generally. You have to check your data to see, or you have Wicked Reports and it'll tell you when to send your emails because you'll see a spike in conversion just because people happen to be thinking about your problem. This days to convert I showed in the presentation already, but you can pick by offer, by audience to see how quick a particular audience converts. Let's look at his browse but no card audiences. This one is a lot of processing here. Let's see if this one grinds in pretty quick. And on all our offers, I can sometimes cut them short here. Sometimes they could take 10 seconds or so to compute that thing out. So it's going to think about it for a second and then spit out the numbers. It'll flash in a minute here. That one was asking him quite a bit of that report. Okay, it's flashing here. Okay, there it is. So out of his browse but no carts for Facebook, who were brand new, he had 5 conversions over the time frame we're looking at, and this is always by the time frame, leads that were created over the time frame we're looking at, these leads haven't converted so well even over time. So it's when they get in the cart is when he's having his heavy conversions. Now, we also offer geography, so if people, and this is particularly for people that are doing ad spends, we're going to show you where your orders are coming from, top 10s by state and by country, and you can mouse over to see the orders and the amount, and then you can focus on those. You can take the timing that we just showed you combined with the geo, and you can target both where and when people are most likely to buy. We also show this data by opt-in. So if you're doing a live, if you're doing events and you have a, he doesn't ship domestic, so he's not going to have anything here. Other people have more interesting stuff on this particular report. But when you're looking at planning an event, I mean, you're going to go where your customers are. So in this case, you look at this one, well, California, who would have thought people shipping lobster across country, but they are. And for opt-ins, they're opting in the most. Brand new leads are coming from California also. So if he was going to do lobster, lobster on the road event, he probably should drive through California because it's his best spot, which was pretty surprising. For the people on the call that aren't doing advertising, we do the social ROI, which is going to show if you are consistently posting these links socially everywhere. We're going to show you lifetime value by source and medium. And we're going to show you, see, Twitter was it's brutal for him. He doesn't even do it anymore because it was such a waste of money or time for his social media manager to do these things. It wasn't making any, it's literally that bad. Lifetime value by audience, lifetime value by content. So if he's wondering what type of email to send, he can say, hey, what has popped the best socially for me and maybe the most money? In this case, yep, once again, it's a consistent pattern for him. Buy one, get one lobster rolls. People love this offer, so it's always near the top. But you do have some other ones here, like tail yum, buy 6, get 6. He could say, hey, I need to send a broadcast email. I'm going to go just take this offer and write an email about it because it's made this much money for me. So you kind of get that way of having data drive what you're writing about and talking about. We also do some sales metric stats here based on total and unique customers per month, frequency of customer repurchase. We get sale metrics showing what your average order was and how many sales and revenue. I mean, you can get that from Infusionsoft, but just kind of a cool one to get. And then your lead growth over time with your trends. All of these reports export out to PDF, image, or Excel. And I'll show you one more, and then we'll take some more questions here. I'm cognizant we're just past an hour here now. This is our top 10, which is going to show your top 10, and you get to rank it according to how you want. You get to pick, so this is top 10 by traffic, the top 10 emails according to what was clicked on, but then you can say, hey, just show me the top 10 emails according to what got me lifetime value. And then what was the top emails in terms of sales. And it'll organize the chart below based on what top 10 I want to see and create this rather involved chart that you can then roll your own, you can click and remove these things to create your own graphics if you need to for sale, like sales versus traffic or sales versus LTV or whatever you want. You can make your own little chart here on the fly. And that's for AdWords keywords, for Facebook audiences, for any source and medium combination. As you can see, his banner has actually done quite well over time.
So Scott, a couple things. So go back to your very first report, the one that shows the whole.
Okay.
Waiting for it to show up on my screen. So there, that one. Okay, so just so that I'm clear here. So to understand kind of, because to me this is, everything else is cool, but really to understand like what Wicked does. So the cost column, Wicked is going out to either Facebook or Google AdWords or wherever you're spending. does it just do Facebook? No, it does other things too, right? So if I'm doing LinkedIn ads, is it going to get costs for those as well?
So what it does for those is we have, anytime you're doing a cost of something that we haven't integrated with yet, we have a way for you to just drag a CSV into our like admin area, and it'll automatically update the costs for that particular set of UTMs. So we have a Kickstart emails or LinkedIn or Outbrain will set that up for you, so you can just drag the same report each day or each week whenever you feel like doing it, and it'll update your cost for that one. But
Okay.
You are right, for Facebook and AdWords, this is automatically coming in and updating every morning at 5 a.m.
Okay, and then so visitors and leads, that data is in Google Analytics.
Visitors is Google Analytics, and then leads is Infusionsoft Contacts.
Oh, okay. All right. So leads, and then sales, all of the sales data, it's pulling from Infusionsoft as well. So also, someone has to be using Infusionsoft or have the orders in Infusionsoft for this to work.
Correct. We're approved to integrate with Entreport. We just haven't got around to it yet.
Okay. All right. So it's basically taking all this data from all these different sources and putting it together in a way that I can make just data-driven decisions off of it. Have I kind of summarized that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I've got a couple of questions. Cindy, I think he just answered your question that it does only work with Infusionsoft for the moment because he hasn't gotten to Entreport yet. And Sue, I'll come back to your question here in a second. So a couple things. So two things. First of all, who's Wicked Reports for? Who's going to be a user of Wicked Reports? And if I'm not that person, what do I need to take away from this webinar?
Okay, so let me show you our package page, and then I can explain, because there's a little summary at the top. Let me, what do I do? Edit hyperlink to get it, I think. So let me paste that in, and you can go along with me or not. Here's that. So if I go here so we have 4 different packages. So it's based on if you're just a business owner that needs actual metrics to track. And one thing I didn't show is we have membership and subscription retention and churn that's coming mid-month, July. If you want this particular set of features, so you're not doing paid ads, then we have a $99 a month plan. If you're an online marketer that wants to tie the advertising to the revenues and clicks, that funnel stats being the heart and soul of what that does, then you want the premium, which is a $500 kickstart, and then $299 a month. And then if you want a data scientist to interpret your data for you, one of us will get on the call with you, or we have a couple of data guys as well, so purely that. They'll get on and analyze the data for you, so you don't even have to know what you're looking at. We'll go through and just tell you what it's telling you, which we're actually, by the end of the summer, we're going to have a artificial intelligence where we're going to just email and tell people what to do. They're not even going to have to look at it, which would be kind of cool.
So that's clearly for someone who's spending a lot of money on ads.
Yeah, this is where we started. We were doing just these 1,000 a month, and it's all people that were spending 5 figures in ads. So this one's much more achievable for people that are spending obviously much less in ads.
Okay, so the backup, because I'm about to start doing some, a bunch of ad spend. So how much do I need to be spending before that $299 a month, where you think I'm going to see an ROI off of that $299 a month?
I think once you're at $1,000, because once you're spending $1,000 a month, you're going to have enough data where you'll see some statistical significance one way or another, or you'll see some trends pretty quickly, because you start running ads, particularly, it's almost more important at that level than at the bigger level, in my opinion, because when you're running them that small, you don't have as much margin of error, and you need to really be able to laser focus on, hey, did this get me customers? And if you have any type of product that doesn't have an immediate conversion, which many products aren't, lots of time, then you're going to need to have lifetime value. And so in my opinion, it's $1,000 a month. That's how we price it. We wanted people to get really a ROI immediately once they were spending anything.
Sorry, hear
That's all
my
right.
dogs in the
No
background.
worries. Surprised my kids didn't barge in yet. Mom's doing a good job. And then this is for the bigger firms that are wanting us to outsource everything. They want us to just do all of it, just email and tell them what their data is, weekly, and we don't even handle every single link that they do. Because we do offer, the differences on these is the strategy and consulting. But if you want the lifetime value, it's the premium. That's probably our most popular plan. And you can liberally switch between the two. So if you just want to get started and have interpretation, and then say, okay, I understand, or I don't feel like it anymore, whatever, you can just flip back and forth as need be. Not an issue with us. And so that's.
And so for the folks who are not doing, Scott, for the folks who are not doing paid ads, let's say, what do they need to take? Oh, what's their takeaway from this webinar?
The takeaway is that if you're doing anything, you want to know how you're going to know if it worked before you bother doing it. Because if you can't track whether you're having success in something, then you don't know whether you should keep doing it or not. And if you're running around just doing spray and pray, which I did many times, then that's not an efficient use of your time, and you don't really have a lot of time as an entrepreneur or part-time person trying to get away from the man. You need to be effective and efficient and laser focused, and this tracking helps make you think about your efforts in a different way that's ultimately going to give you more value.
Yeah, so just to kind of tail on to that. So I've started very recently working with a business coaching program, and one of the things that that he has us focused on is basically where is every hour of your day going, and to what extent are you spending that time on things that are of super high value versus not super high value. And so what they do is just as a sort of a starting point, you take your day and you track it and you say, is this activity a $10 activity, a $100 activity, $1,000 an hour activity, or a $10,000 an hour activity? And and when you literally start to track your day and put them in those buckets, and you realize that, holy cow, I spent, of my 8-hour day, I spent 3 hours of my day on email or what have you, that's worth $10 an hour, or I spent 2 hours on something that's potentially worth $10,000 to me, then obviously you get really focused on trying to reduce the $10 an hour stuff and focus on the $10,000 an hour stuff. However, the problem with that for me and for everybody, I think, is it's all well and good to do that, but there are so many of those activities that you are doing in a day when you don't really know, is it a $10,000 activity or is it a $100 activity? Because I could be, I might have on my list to spend an hour a day answering questions on the Infusionsoft forum in the hopes that it's going to get me some business, but I have no idea if it does or doesn't. And so I'm assigning a number to it based on what I think, but your point is, and why I was so excited about this webinar, is you've got to put numbers to that. Otherwise, you could just be kidding yourself.
Yeah, I would update your auto-sig in your forum signature to be trackable.
Mm-hmm.
I always have the first thing people have them do is update all their profile links. We had a client that is on Spikeball, you might have saw on Shark Tank, and they did that with Instagram, and they found that they were able to pull over, maybe 2,500, 3,000 leads off their Instagram, thanks to tracking. They knew it was like worth keeping their Instagram up to date because they had thousands of leads, and they didn't know before. They didn't even have a link going back to their site from their profile, never mind the fact that it wasn't tracking. So yeah, it just makes you always think, hey, how do I know? And if I don't know, is there a way I can know that this is worth my time? Because we
Yeah.
all have a finite amount of time to do what we got to do.
Yep.
So.
All right, another question for you, Scott. Sue wants to know, do you recommend we use these links to make referral tracking links too? In other words, yet another layer of tracking on top of the affiliate referral links?
We go in and update as part of the Kickstart. We'll update the UTMs. We'll add UTMs to people's affiliate links so they have them, so they don't have to go update to the affiliate themselves. Yeah, so I do, because that's a great way to track webinars also. Because if you're going to reroute the people to go to meeting, you got to have them hit your site, hit your tracking first that you have some UTMs, and that's one way to redirect them and get UTMs on a situation that you otherwise wouldn't have. So yeah, I do that. I would recommend that for sure. And then you can see your different affiliates and how they've done. Like I wanted to show Kim's this way, and I'm just going to manually update her affiliate links so that she gets credit, if anything goes down. But another way to do it would be that way, and then you have the value without having to complicate your affiliate email links at all. You just update them in Infusionsoft.
Okay. All right. Let's see, that was the last question I have. Any other questions, y'all? And then I'll give you a chance to wrap up. All right, I don't see any more. So.
All right. Anyone that made it this far, I appreciate your interest in tracking. And we're going to take $100 off any order that comes in the next day from Kim's links. So if you're interested, make the move, and we'll be excited to help get you going here. And when you get your ROI builder, if you have any questions, just reply back to that. We have some online videos coming out. They're going to help you use that as well. So any questions, I'll just reach out to me from the email you get on the opt-in. So that's my email. So thanks.
Right. Well, very good, Scott. Thanks so much for giving us the tour and helping us understand those links and what to do with them. Really appreciate it. I know I've got a lot of notes and was very helpful.
Great.
John, by the way, hang on. John says he missed the link for the ROI builder or the link builder. Could we put it back in there one more time?
Sure.
All right.
Great.
All right, there you go, John. Super, you guys. Thanks so much again, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. Thanks, Kim.
All right. Bye, Scott.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.